أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء وخاتم المرسلين والشفيع المذنبين سيدنا ونبينا بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين ذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. واللعنة دامة الباقي لأعدائهم ومنكر فضائلهم وغاصب حقوقهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: إن الذين قالوا ربنا الله ثم استقاموا تتنزل عليهم الملائكة ألا تخافوا ولا تحزنوا وأبشروا بالجنة التي كنتم توعدون. صلوات عليك. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Fussilat, ayat number 30, talks about an important concept that each one of us, as followers of Islam, followers of the Quran, followers of Ahlul Bayt, have to accept it as individual duty of each one of us. And that is the issue of istiqamat. Istiqamat means to be steadfast. Coming to the right path is one issue. Staying on the right path is something else. A person can be born in a faith or a religion, but that doesn't guarantee that they will be on the same path till the end of their life. And this is where istiqamat becomes very important. And if somebody is able to maintain that steadfastness, especially when they face challenges, tests and trials in their lives, from different angles and perspective, if they are able to maintain istiqamat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا رَبُّنَا اللَّهُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقَامُوا, that verily those who say our Lord is Allah, and then they are steadfast, they are there, nothing moves them to the right or the left. What will happen to them? تَتَنَزَّلُ عَلَيْهُمُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ, the angels will descend upon them. And what will the angels say to them? The angels will say, أَلَا تَخَافُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا, have no fear or grief. No fear about the future because you are on istiqamat. You know what will happen at the end. And no grief of what you are leaving behind, because what you will get in the future is better than what you will be leaving behind. And get the good news of Jannah. I've taken this opportunity to recite this ayat on this very sad occasion that we are commemorating tonight, because the personality whom we are remembering is actually one of the complete embodiment of this ayat of Quran, who maintained his istiqamat, and he left us his life and Shahadat as an example. We have gathered tonight for the Shahadat of someone whose Majlis is actually the beginning of the Azaf, Sayyid al-Shahadat. It is the eve of 9th Zul-Hijjah. Today was the 8th of Zul-Hijjah. It is on the 8th of Zul-Hijjah that Imam Hussain alayhi salam started his journey. He was forced to leave Mecca, change his niyyat from Hajj to Umrah, and left Mecca on that day. While the Hajjis were going towards Mina, where they would spend the night and then go to Arafat on next morning, Imam on that day is leaving Mecca going towards Kufa. And it's on the 9th of Dhul-Hijjah that Muslim bin Aqeel became Shaheed in Kufa. And so this is actually the beginning of the Azan of Sayyid al-Shahadat. We do it in Muharram, but this is the starting point of the Azan. Salawat pढ़ने एक बार और. Muslim bin Aqeel was the Safir and ambassador of Imam Hussain alayhi salam to the people of Kufa. And Imam has deputed him in the month of Ramadan, because once the people realize he is in Mecca now, he has left Medina, especially the people of Kufa started sending messengers and letters to the Imam. Imam got so many letters that finally he decided to, move towards Kufa. But before even doing that, because the letters were saying that, come to us. We would like you to lead us in getting rid of this zulm and tyranny of Banu Umayyah. And we are willing to accept you as our Imam, and we will support you. When the letters became so many, that Imam thought maybe now this is a serious issue worth considering. This is where he sends Muslim bin Aqeel. Can you go and investigate for me and give me the report? Whether these people are really saying what they are writing to me. And the number of letters, and this is something I'm sure you have been hearing in Majlis, but would like to give you the proper context of that there were so many letters that Imam, of course, those days you didn't have binders and filing system and things like that. But the way Imam used to preserve it, that Imam carried these letters of the people of Kufa written to him. There were so many that he needed 2 sacks, 2 goonies to put these letters in there. And this was given in charge of Uqba bin Sam'an, one of the slaves of Imam. He was actually a slave of Bibi Rabab. When Imam Hussain married her, she gifted Uqba to Imam Hussain as, someone who would take care of the Imam. And he became very close. He became like, in modern time terms, we can say Uqba bin Sam'an became like the secretary or personal assistant of Imam Hussain bin Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. Not only because he was carrying these letters, he is the only person who used to also sit in the meetings held between Umar ibn Sa'd and Imam Hussain alayhi salam before 9th Muharram. Umar ibn Sa'd had reached on 4th Muharram, I think. And every day they would meet. There was a special tent, a small one erected between the camps. And Umar ibn Sa'd will come, Imam Hussain alayhi salam would come to negotiate the issues. And there was nobody except the third person was Uqba bin Sam'an. He survived the massacre of the day of Ashura. Because he was a slave, they just, let him be. But he was then put with the family of Imam Hussain as a captive, went to Kufa, Sham, went back to Medina with them. And he is one of the important eyewitnesses of the events of Karbala. There was an alim in India about 40 years ago. He was in Aligarh University. And he actually did something those days when we didn't even have computers and things like that to make this process easy. He actually went through the historical sources of the Muslims and gathered wherever they have narrated a statement from Uqba bin Sam'an, and he actually compiled it in a small booklet form that, the maqtal of Imam Hussain in the words of Uqba bin Sam'an, an eyewitness. And his importance, I would just like to, mention this because we don't hear about some of these, smaller figures in the history of Karbala. He is so important that Umar ibn Sa'd, in one of his letters sent to Ibn Ziyad in Kufa, he says to him, Because Umar ibn Sa'd knew that to kill Hussain is wrong. And he tried whatever he could to get out of this situation. But Ibn Ziyad had put a carrot in front of him. That if you don't do this, the governorship of the city of Ray would be taken away from you. So that's the price you had to pay for, killing Imam Hussain. Umar ibn Sa'd knew this was wrong and he tried. Eventually, in one of the meetings, Imam said, well, if you people don't want me, I came because of your invitation. Then, I would either go somewhere far away from the Muslim lands, or I'll go back to Medina. And Umar ibn Sa'd wrote this report to Ibn Ziyad that the issue has been resolved peacefully. Imam has agreed for one of these three things. Imam mentioned only two things. He adds one more there from himself, just to appease Ibn Ziyad. He says Hussain agreed either to go outside, leave the Muslim land, and go where sometimes you see this statement towards India. And the other was that, he will go back to Medina. Or the third, and this is actually inserted by him, that he will go directly to Yazid and deal with him one-to-one. So we don't have to go into this process of killing him. And this is where, when the letter reaches to Ibn Ziyad, in a way he was inclined to accept it, but then the third person there, Shimr Mal'un was there, who said to Ibn Ziyad, it is a disgrace for you that the enemy has come in your jurisdiction and he lives without you arresting him. And that's where he sends a very stern letter to Umar ibn Sa'd through the hands of Shimr Mal'un, who reaches in Karbala on the 9th of Muharram, saying to Umar ibn Sa'd, either do your mission or hand over the command to Shimr. And that's where you hear the whole process where, they prepared to attack on that eve of Ashura. But Imam asked for one night, and then that's where the battle happened on the next day. But here historians say to us that these three options that Umar ibn Sa'd mentioned in his letter to Ibn Ziyad, only two of them are true from Imam Hussain. The third one was inserted by him. And on what basis do they say this? They say only the witness for that meeting is Uqba bin Sam'an. And Uqba bin Sam'an says Umar ibn Sa'd is a liar. Hussain never said, I will go directly to Yazid and deal with him on a one-to-one basis. Salawat. Anyway, this was just, a point about importance of Uqba bin Sam'an as an eyewitness of the events of Karbala, Ashura, before and after it. Talking about the letters, there is an incident where the troops, the cavalry force of Hur, when they reached to the caravan of Imam Hussain, they had run out of water. Imam gave them water. This was around Zuhr, just after Zuhr. They sat down. There was no conversation, no discussion at all. Then for Asr time, Imam's group stood up for Jamaat, and Imam asked Hur, are you going to lead your own Jamaat or are you going to join us? Where Hur says, no, you lead the Jamaat, my people will recite behind you. This was one indication of, the goodness which was there in the heart of Hur. He didn't have bughz or hatred towards Ali Muhammad. And then after Asr prayers, Imam ordered his people to prepare the caravan to continue the journey. That's where Hur comes and stops him. Tries to stop him, and that's where, Imam stood up first. And this is even before Hur even started anything. After Asr namaz, Imam stood up and gave a very short khutbah where he says, أيها الناس فإنكم إن تتقوا الله وتعرفوا الحق لأهله يكن أرضى لله عنكم. O people, if you have this consciousness of Allah, taqwa of Allah, and you know to whom does the haqq belong, the truth belongs to whom, then it is good for you to follow them, because this is arza lillahi ankum. This is more pleasing to Allah. وَنَحْنُ أَهْلُ بَيْتِ مُحَمَّدٍ وَأَوْلَى بِوِلَايَةِ هَذَا الْأَمْرِ عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ هَؤُلَاءِ الْمُدَّعِينَ مَا لَيْسَ لَهُمْ وَالسَّائِرِينَ فِيكُمْ بِالْجَوْرِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. He says, we belong to the family of the Prophet, and we are more worthy, we have more wilayat and authority to govern and rule over you compared to these people who have claimed this status, but they are not worthy of it. And they are going around spreading jawr wal udwan, injustice and tyranny among you. In abaytu illa karahiyatan lana wal jahlu bihaqqina. Then Imam says, if you have come, referring especially to the Hur forces, if you have come here because you don't like us anymore, or because you don't know our right, فَكَانَ رَأْيُكُمْ الْآنَ غَيْرَ مَا أَتَتْنِي بِهِ كُتُبُكُمْ وَقَدِمَ بِهِ عَلَيَّ رُسُلُكُمْ. Then it seems your opinion, O people of Kufa, has changed. Your opinion from what was in the letters that you sent to me and the messengers who came to me was different. It seems now your opinion has changed. If that is the matter, in saraftu ankum, then I will leave you. I will not go towards you. And this is where Hur stands up and he says, Ana wallahi ma adri ma hadhihi al-kutub wa ar-rusul allati tadhkaw. He says, by Allah, I have no knowledge of the letters you are talking and the messengers that you are mentioning. And that is where Hussain says, Ya Uqba bin Sam'an, O Uqba, أخرج الخرجين الذين فيها كتبهم إلي. Go and bring the two sects which has the letters of this people of Kufa. Bring them to me. And Imam then told him to open them and show it to them, that these are the letters that you have sent to me, asking me to come to Kufa. And this is where Hur says, well, we are not the ones who sent the letters. We have no knowledge of it. And we have been ordered that wherever we see you, we have to bring you to Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad, who is the governor, and he will decide about you. So I will take you to Kufa. And that is where Imam says, you can't take me to Kufa. You can't force me to go with you. Rather, death will come to you earlier than that. And that's where some very harsh words were expressed. But the point is, I just wanted to bring this point of the letters. The letters were so many that they needed two sects to basically file them or keep them in there. And this is where we see that this was the basis on which Imam sent Muslim bin Aqeel. And when Muslim reached to Kufa, the people started coming to him, and eventually they started doing bay'at at his hand, pledging allegiance to Imam Hussain at the hand of Muslim bin Aqeel. The total number in history that we see goes from about 12,000 to 18,000 individuals who did bay'at at the hand of Muslim bin Aqeel to support Hussain bin Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. Salawat. Yet, Muslim was abandoned at the end. And the question is, who were these people? The people of Kufa who abandoned him. Were they Shias? And this is where I would like to come to this discussion tonight, because many of our youths go to the universities and they are confronted sometimes by the Wahhabis. Not necessarily Sunnis, but the Wahhabis, who always bring up this issue that Hussain was killed by the Shias. It were the Shias who invited him to come to Kufa. And it was these Shias who abandoned Hussain. And so they are the one who killed him. And then they try to link that with the Azadari, and they said, because these ancestors of Shias killed Hussain, they cry in the month of Muharram as a remorse for what their ancestor had done. And sometimes, if you hear some of the words in history, and when the Wahhabis, show it to you, sometimes, young people are taken aback. They're shocked. Is this true? And if they don't get the proper answer, their iman will become shaky. And so let us look at this issue. Who were the people who abandoned Muslim and who abandoned Hussain? Were they the Shias of Hussain and the Shias of Ali? This is where you have to study the history of the society of Kufa at that time. Basically, there were three types of people who wrote the letters to Imam Hussain alayhi salam. A minority was of those who were true and devoted Shias of Ali, who wrote these letters. And when you look at that, you will see these are the people like Habib bin Madahir and Muslim bin Awsaja. Their signature was there in the first letter that Imam Hussain received in Mecca from Kufa. The first ones were actually had the signature of Habib bin Madahir and Muslim bin Awsaja, and the last one also interestingly had these signatures of Hani and Syed bin Abdullah. And these were the individuals. This is just the representation of the true devoted Shias who asked Hussain to come. They somehow found the way to reach to Karbala before Ashura. And they were part of the list of the Shahadat of Karbala. The second group were of those Shias whose name might be in the letters and who even did bay'at at the hand of Muslim bin Aqeel, but they were not present in Karbala. Because when Ibn Ziyad came in, he was in Basra, he was the governor of Basra. When things started changing against Yazid, he deputed Ibn Ziyad to come to Kufa and take charge. And when he came, and he was very, he used carrot and stick policy, bribing people, threatening people. And that is where we see that there were some Shias who were true Shias. But by the time they even got to the situation where they planned to go to Karbala, there was no way to reach there. Because one of the things Ibn Ziyad had done was he has posted patrols and all the routes going from Kufa towards Karbala. Nobody was allowed to leave that city or even enter Kufa without being, interrogated or questioned. And so these people could not reach. And these are the people who later on, after the events of Karbala, they felt very bad about it, and they had their own rebellion about 4 years after the events of Karbala, and they are the ones who are known as Tawwabin. In a way, they did tawbah for their inability to reach to Imam Hussain alayhi salam on the day of Ashura. And then you have a large, majority of the people of Kufa who were basically opportunists, who would go with the winner. When they realized that, of course, the people of Iraq generally didn't like Banu Umayyah. There was always tension between Syrians and Iraqis. These days, even those days also. And because of that, when they realized that there is a momentum of calling Imam Hussain alayhi salam to get rid of the Umayyad power, they realized that maybe, with the prestige and status of Hussain, there is chances of him succeeding in this process. And since they thought he will be the winner, they joined in. But when things change, when Ibn Ziyad comes from Basra to Kufa, it is these majority who were not sincere Shias. These are the opportunists. And they are the one who basically changed side when they saw that Umayyad forces are the victorious. And this is where you see the name of people like, Shams bin Rabi' and Hijjar bin Ajbar, Qais bin Ash'as, and Yazid bin Harith. These are the people who had also signed in the letters sent to Imam Hussain in Mecca. But these are the people who later on changed sides, joined the forces of Yazid, and not only then joined the forces of Yazid, they actually became, among the senior officers of the Yazidi forces on the day of Ashura. Even though they had their signatures on the letters sent to Imam Hussain alayhi salam. On the day of Ashura, in the very first address that Imam made to the people of Yazid, where he says, do you know who am I? He talks about all the ahadith that Rasulullah had mentioned about him and Imam Hussain. And then he says at the end, well, فَإِن كُنْتُمْ فِي شَكٍّ مِّنْ هَذَا. If you doubt all these statements of my grandfather about me, then at least أَفَتَشَكُّونَ أَنْ إِنِّي ibne bint نَبِيِّكُمْ. Do you doubt that I am the son of the daughter of your prophet? فَوَاللَّهِ مَا بَيْنَ الْمَشْرِقِ وَالْمَغْرِبِ ibne bint نَبِيٍّ غَيْرِ فِيكُمْ. I swear by Allah that nobody is in the east or the west of this dunya who is a grandson of the Prophet other than me. I am the grandson of the Prophet. So what do you want? فَيْحَكُمْ أَتَطْلُبُونِي بِقَتِيلٍ مِّنْكُمْ قَتَلْتُهُ. Are you seeking revenge or retaliation because I have killed somebody from among you? Or because I have taken a property from you by force? Or I have harmed somebody, then now you want to take retaliation from me? And then, when they didn't say anything, that's where Imam addresses some of these officers by name. He says, Ya Shams bin Rab'i, Ya Hajjar bin Abjar, Ya Qais bin al-Ash'as, Ya Yazid bin al-Harith, Alam taktubu ilayya an قد عينعت الثمار وأخضر الجناب فإنما تقدم على جند لك مجند. He addresses these four individuals who are now officers of the Yazidi forces. And he says, are you not the ones who wrote to me that the fruits have become ripe and the dates have also become darker, which means the time is now good. And you will be coming to a city which has already an organized army waiting for you. Are you not the ones who wrote this? And so Qais bin Ash'as says, Ma nadri ma taqul. We don't know what you are saying. Now they are basically denying that they were the one who wrote it. And they say there is no choice for you but that you have to accept the rule of your ibn Am, your cousin, referring to the Qurayshi relationship between Yazid and Imam Hussain alayhi salam. And that, they only seek your welfare and your goodness. So just accept them and surrender. And this is where Imam uttered his famous words to them, لا والله لا أعطيكم بيد الظليل ولا أفر فرار العبيد. By Allah, I will not give in like a humiliated person, nor will I run away from encounter like a slave. I will not surrender, but I'm willing to confront you and face you even though I am outnumbered. Salawat. So who killed Hussain? The Shias of Kufa? These people, Shams bin Rab'i, Hajjar bin Abjar, Qais bin Ash'as, these are not Shias of Ali. It's important to look at the identities or the affiliations that these two groups had on the day of Ashura. I'm just selecting some examples. I have a long list of this. That on the day of Ashura, individuals from both camps, when they came to the battleground to introduce themselves, they also expressed their affiliation to one ideology or the other. And how they introduce themselves is very important. Means we will let those people, the players on the ground, identify themselves in their own words. I am not going to say what they are. Let's go and ask them. Are they Shia on this side or that side? One example, Nafi bin Hilal al-Jamali, one of the companions of Imam Hussain. On the 8th or 9th of Muharram, he was able to go with his group of the Sahaba, Ashab of Hussain, to the Al-Qama. And the Yazidi forces says, well, we can allow you to drink, but not to take water to Hussain and his family. And Nafi said, although you allow me and I am here by the water, I am not going to drink until Hussain and his family is able to drink. So he came back thirsty. On the day of Ashura, the way he introduced himself, and this is part of the Arab culture. There is a poetry known as Rajaz. And Arabs have more natural talent of that than others. Probably when you are put in a situation of pressure and tension, their talent of poetry is triggered. And the way he introduced himself in the battlefield, challenging somebody to come and fight him, he says, In tankuruni fa'ana ibnul jamali. If you don't know me, then I introduce myself, I am Ibnul Jamali, that's his name, Nafi bin Hilal al-Jamali. Dini ala dini Hussain bin Ali. Not only that I'm Ibnul Jamali, my deen, my religion, is the religion of Hussain bin Ali. Muzahim bin Hurais, a soldier from Yazidi side, comes forward and responds to him. He says, you said you are on the deen of Hussain bin Ali, ana ala dini Usman. You see, the lines are already drawn. I don't have to say, what is the affiliation of this side or the other side. They themselves are saying that. He says, ana ala dini Uthman. And that is where Nafi al-Jamali responds to him by saying, anta ala dini shaitan. He uses the same rhyme, Uthman, shaitan. And then, Nafi confronted him, killed him, and he continued his, fight until he was killed. And constantly he was saying, Ana ibn al-Hilal al-Jamali, Ana ala dini Ali. This is how he would boost his own morale. This is from Tabari and other sources. Second example, Abdurrahman bin Abdullah al-Yazani from Yemen. Yazan is the tribe. When he went from the side of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, he introduces himself by saying, Ana ibn Abdullah min ali Yazan. I am Abdurrahman bin Abdullah from the tribe of Yazan. Dini ala dini Hussain wa Hassan. My religion is the religion of Hussain and Hassan. أضربكم ضرب فتى من اليمن أرجو بذاك الفوز عند المؤتمن. I am going to strike this sword of a young person from Yemen, and by this I seek, achievement in the presence of the Almighty. Malik bin Anas al-Kahili, who was old, comes from the ashab of Imam Hussain. And the way he introduces his side and the other side. Look at the choices of words. And this is very interesting. How the word Shia is being now used. Malik bin Anas says, Al Ali. Al Ali, the family of Ali. On the other side, he is saying Al Harb, the family of Abu Sufyan. Al Ali Shi'atul Rahman. The family of Ali are the Shia of Rahman, the beneficent God. وَعَالَ حَرْبٍ شِيعَةُ الشَّيْطَانِ. And the family of Abu Sufyan are the Shia of Shaitan. Shia in the meaning of followers. And this is something we have to keep in mind, that the enemies would use these terms and say, see, it says, they even address the Yazidi forces as Shia. But you have to ask them, which Shia are you talking about? Because gradually in history, the term Shia became so popular for Shia to Ali that there was no need to say the word Ali. If you say to anyone, this person is a Shia, any person would take it for granted it refers to Shia to Ali. But during early days, when this term was used, there was need to clarify. You are a Shia, which Shia are you? Shi'atul Rahman or Shi'atul Shaitan? Shi'atul Ali or Shia of someone else? And this is where we see even Imam Hussain bin Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, in his final stages of his battle. You know, Hamid bin Muslim, one of the reporters of that day, says that I was really amazed to see a person who has lost his companions, his family members. You know, that grief itself is enough to kill him. But still he had that courage to fight in a way that we, remembered the days of Ali. And there was a point where he was attacking, and the Yazidi forces would just retreat. Until Umar ibn Sa'd says, don't go for individual combat against him. He reminds them, he says, don't you know he's son of Ali? Who was able to kill the most bravest of the soldiers and warriors of the Arab world. Don't go to him alone. Go collectively surround him. And this is where you see 4,000 archmen surrounded him. And at that time, and the point I would like to come to is what Hussain used, the words, to address them. When they started shooting their arrows towards him, he saw a group of Yazidi forces gradually moving towards the tent of the women. And that's where Hussain addresses Umar ibn Sa'd, especially facing him, but addressing the entire Yazidi forces, and he says, Ya Shi'atu Ali Abi Sufyan. Yes, Hussain uses the word Shia for the Yazidi forces, but not by itself. He links that to Shi'atu Ali Abi Sufyan. All the followers of the family of Abu Sufyan, إِن لَمْ يَكُنْ لَكُمْ دِينٌ وَلَا تَخَافُونَ الْمَعَادِ. If you don't have a religion, and you don't fear the day of judgment, you don't believe in a religion now, the way you are behaving, فَكُونُوا أَحْرَارًا لِدُنْيَاكُمْ. At least be free in this dunya as a decent human being. Come and fight me as long as I'm alive. Don't go towards my women and children. So he was now talking more on a human terms here. That even if you don't believe in Allah and the day of Qiyamah, at least show this human decency. Come and face me. Why are you going to attack the tents of my women and children while I'm still alive here? Come and fight me if you are man enough. And there he says, Ya Shi'atu Ali Abi Sufyan, O the Shias of Ali Abi Sufyan. So when the Wahhabis say to us that the Shias killed Hussain, I will say yes. Shias killed Hussain, but you need to clarify, further qualify which Shias? Shi'atu Ali? Definitely not. They were Shi'atu Ali Abi Sufyan. They were the followers of Ali Abu Sufyan who killed Hussain bin Ali and the family and the ashab on the day of Ashura. Salawat. Ibn Ziyad himself, when the family is brought in his presence, out of his arrogance, he says, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving victory to our leader Yazid. And then he uses the term, he says, وَقَتَلَ. And I thank Allah for having killed. Na'uzu billah is now relating his action to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But look at the words. And this is where we have to realize, if the Wahhabi play with the words, be careful. He says, Ibn Ziyad, وَقَتَلَ Hussain bin Ali وَشِيعَتُهُ. He is thanking Allah for what? For having killed Hussain and the Shia of Hussain. So those who were killed in Karbala were the Shia of Hussain. And those who were the murderers on the day of Ashura in Karbala were Shi'atu Ali Abi Sufyan. So don't use that term to accuse the Shias. Look at history, and this is where we see that in Kufa it was not a Shia city. There was presence of a minority Shia who were true and devoted followers of Ahlul Bayt, but the majority were opportunists. They would go with the winning party because they had their own material, motives as a top priority in their own lives. Salawat pढ़ने एक बार और. वहाँ भी जो कहते हैं कि शियों ने हुसैन को कत्ल किया है, एक लम्हे के लिए हम लोग मान लेते हैं, लेकिन उनसे यही पूछिए किस शियों की बात कर रहे हो? शिये अली की बात कर रहे हो या शिये आले अबी सुफियान की बात कर रहे हो? इसलिए कि मुस्लिम बिन अकील शिये अली थे, शिये हुसैन थे, और कूफा में जिन्होंने बेवफाई की है वो शिया नहीं थे, जिन्हें कहा जाता है इब्नुल वक्त थे, ये अपॉर्चुनिस्ट थे। हालात को देखते हैं, उसी के लिहाज से वो उनका रुख जो है बदल जाता है। कहाँ 12 से 18 हज़ार लोगों ने जनाब मुस्लिम बिन अकील के हाथ में बैत की, लेकिन जब हालात बदले हैं और हानि को गिरफ्तार किया गया और बाद में शहीद कर दिया गया, उस वक्त मुस्लिम बिन अकील कुछ लोगों को लेके चले, दारुल इमारा को इन्होंने सराउंड कर दिया, मुहासरा किया। उस वक्त मुस्लिम बिन अकील के साथ 300 लोग थे, लेकिन जिस तरह से उसने दहशत फैलाई थी, टेरर फैलाया था कूफियों के दिलो दिमाग में, the mothers started coming in, peer pressure की जो बात होती है, इन्नल्लज़ीना आमनू क़ालू रब्बुनल्लाह थुम्मा इस्तक़ामू। सिर्फ ईमान लाना काफ़ी नहीं है, मुश्किल हालात में, इम्तहान की घड़ी में स्टेडफास्ट रहना दर हकीकत अलामत है मोमिन की। और यही हुआ, मुख्तलिफ टाइप के प्रेशर्स। माओं से ये बर्दाश्त न हो सका, वो अपने जवानों को आके खींच के लेगी। बीबियों से ये सब्र न हुआ कि उनके शौहर मारे जाएंगे, उनको खींच के लेगी। इसी मुख्तलिफ टाइप के पुल्स थे। कहाँ 300 लोग साथ थे मुस्लिम बिन अकील के उस वक्त मुहासरे में, और वो काजी शुरे मलऊन ने आके कहा कि नहीं, हानि ठीक ठाक है, तो मजमा जो है अब हटने लगा, छटने लगा। उस वक्त मुस्लिम बिन अकील ये शाम के नमाज के लिए, गालिबन मगरिब का वक्त था, मस्जिद में जाते हैं, 300 में से सिर्फ 30 लोग रह गए। जनाब मुस्लिम बिन अकील ने इमामत की, लेकिन जब सलाम फेरने के बाद पलट के देखते हैं कि 300 में से 30 थे, लेकिन सलाम के बाद 30 में से एक भी नहीं था। ये उन्वान जो है गरीबुल वतन का, गरीबुल गुरबा, दर हकीकत मुस्लिम बिन अकील है। वो मुस्लिम जिनके हाथ पर 12 से 18 हज़ार लोगों ने बैत की, उस शहर के मेहमान थे, لیکن وہ وقت آ گیا کہ نماز کے ختم کرنے کے بعد پلٹ کے دیکھتے ہیں کوئی نہیں ہے. تنہائی کا عالم تاریخ میں اس کے علاوہ اور کہیں نظر نہیں آتا ہے. مسلم مہمان ہیں، راستوں کو بھی نہیں جانتے ہیں، محلوں کو بھی نہیں جانتے ہیں. نکلے باہر، ایک محلے کی طرف گئے جو محلے کندہ تھا. کوئی راستہ سمجھ میں نہیں آیا کہ کہاں ہمیں جانا ہے. ایک گلی میں ایک مکان کے دیوار کے پاس ٹیک لگا کے بیٹھ گئے. ہر تھوڑی دیر پہ جو مالکہ تھی، اس ایک ضعیفہ تھی جس کا نام توعا تھا، وہ دروازہ کھولتی ہے، آ کے دیکھتی ہے کہ اجنبی مرد جو ہے بیٹھا ہوا. کئی بار آئیں، صرف دیکھ کے چلی گئیں. ایک بار مسلم نے کہا کہ ضعیفہ ممکن ہے کہ مجھے پانی دے دو، تو پانی لے آئیں، سیراب کر دیتی ہیں. لیکن اس کے بعد میں مسلم بیٹھے رہے. تو آخر میں وہ کہتی ہے کہ اے شخص، ارجع علی اہلک، اپنے گھر چلے جاؤ. اس سے کون بتاتا کہ مسلم یہاں غریب الوطن ہیں، گھر جائیں تو کہاں جائیں. اپنے گھر والوں کے پاس چلے جاؤ، اس لیے کہ تمہارا بیٹھنا یہاں میری عزت پر حرف آئے گا. ایک اجنبی شخص آ کے ہمارے دروازے پہ بیٹھا ہے. مسلم خاموش رہے. مظلومیت کا یہ عالم دیکھیں، کچھ کہہ نہ سکے. آخر میں 3 بار یہ کہنے کے بعد چوتھی بار وہ عورت آتی ہے اور کہتی ہے کہ لا احل لک، یہ میرا گھر ہے، یہ علاقہ میرا ہے، ہم آپ کے لیے حلال نہیں قرار دیتے ہیں کہ آپ بیٹھیں. اس وقت مسلم کہتے ہیں میرا نام مسلم بن عقیل ہے اور اس شہر والوں نے میرے ساتھ بے وفائی کی ہے. بس مسلم بن عقیل کا نام سنا تو بہرحال اس کے دل میں آل محبت کی محبت تھی. نام سنتے ہی پناہ دیتی ہے اپنے گھر میں. حضرت مولانا حسین آپ کو واقعات معلوم ہیں، لیکن ہم اپنی جو آیت تھی اس سے ہم ملانا چاہتے ہیں کہ ان الذین آمنوا قالوا ربنا اللہ ثم استقاموا. ایک ہی گھر میں ماں نے استقامت سے کام لیا اور اسی ماں کا بیٹا جو ہے منحرف ہو جاتا ہے. اسے جب احساس ہوا کہ میری ماں نے پناہ دی ہے مسلم کو، اور ابن زیاد نے اعلان کیا ہے انعام کے لیے، انعام کے لالچ میں یہ مخبری کرتا ہے، خبر دیتا ہے کہ مسلم ہمارے گھر میں ہیں. الصبا گھوڑوں کے ٹاپوں کی آواز جب گلیوں کے قریب آتی ہے اس محلے کے، مسلم سمجھ جاتے ہیں کہ میرا راز جو ہے فاش ہو چکا ہے، انہیں معلوم ہے کہ ہم کہاں ہیں. مسلم نہیں چاہ رہے تھے کہ اس ضعیفہ کے گھر میں کوئی اذیت یا اسے نقصان پہنچے. گھر سے باہر نکلتے ہیں، مقابلہ کرتے ہیں. یہ وہ سفیر تھا جو بہادر بھی تھا، شجاع بھی تھا، اس لیے تو حسین نے بھیجا تھا ان کو تنہائی سے ہی. مقابلہ کرتے ہیں. 100 سپاہی آئے تھے اور اشحص جو ہے دوبارہ پیغام بھیجتا ہے ابن زیاد کے پاس کہ ہمیں ری انفورسمنٹ چاہیے. جب 300 آئے ہیں تب ابن زیاد نے کہا تھا کہ ایک آدمی کی گرفتاری کے لیے بھیج رہے ہیں اور تم جو ہے صرف نفرات مانگ رہے ہو. اس وقت شخص نے کہا تھا کہ ابن زیاد سے کہہ دو، میسنجر سے کہا تھا کہ یہ کوفے کا بقال نہیں ہے، یہ بنو ہاشم کا شیر ہے. آخر میں دھوکے سے مختلف گھروں کے چھتوں پہ یہ چھپ جاتے ہیں. پتھر سے تیر سے کی بارش شروع ہو جاتی ہے اور ایک گلی میں اس طرح سے ان کو فورس کیا جاتا ہے کہ وہاں وہ پسپا ہو کے جائیں. جہاں ایک گڈھا کھودا گیا تھا اس میں جناب مسلم گر جاتے ہیں اور اس وقت جو حملہ ہوا ہے جناب مسلم کے لب اور دندان شہید ہو جاتے ہیں اور گرفتار اور اسیر ہو کے ابن زیاد کے سامنے لائے جاتے ہیں. حکم ہوتا ہے سلم علی الامیر، کہ امیر کو سلام کرو. لیکن استقامت کے اس مرحلے کو دیکھے. مسلم کہتے ہیں میرا امیر صرف حسین ابن علی ہے، ہم اس کو امیر نہیں مانتے ہیں، اس کے سامنے ہم سلام نہیں کریں گے. آخر میں ابن زیاد نے قتل کا فیصلہ سنایا، اس وقت مسلم بن عقیل نے کہا کہ ہم وصیت کرنا چاہتے ہیں۔ عمر سعد کو بلایا کہ تم بھی قریشی ہو، ہم بھی قریشی ہے، اس رشتے کی بنیاد پر ان وصیت کو ہم کرنا چاہتے ہیں۔ سب سے پہلے یہ ہے کہ کوفے میں ہم 700 درہم کے مقروض ہو چکے ہیں، میری زرہ، تلوار اور گھوڑے کو بیچ کے میرے قرض کو ادا کرنا۔ اور دوسری بات یہ ہے کہ یہ قتل کریں گے لیکن شاید مجھے دفن نہ کریں، تم قریشی سمجھ کے مجھے دفن کر دینا۔ اور تیسری وصیت جو مسلم کے لیے بہت ہی اہم تھی کہ دیکھو میں نے مولا کو خط لکھ دیا ہے کہ کوفے والوں اپنے اس اعلان میں برحق ہیں اور سچے ہیں، انہیں خبر کر دو کہ یہ بے وفا شہر ہے۔ عزادار حسین جناب مسلم کو دارالعمارہ کے چھت پر لایا جاتا ہے، اس مسلم نے 2 رکعت نماز کی التجا کی ہے۔ حسین نے پوری شب مانگی تھی عبادت کے لیے، مسلم نے کہا کہ مجھے دل تو چاہتا ہے کہ اور عبادت کرے لیکن تم سمجھو گے کہ عبادت کے بہانے ہم زندہ رہنا چاہتے ہیں۔ 2 رکعت نماز ختم ہوئی، پیاس کی شدت پریشان کر رہی تھی، ماں پانی مانگا ہے، ان اشقیاء نے پانی دیا، ایک کاسا آتا ہے لیکن دہن سے خون اتنا جاری ہوا پیالے میں کہ اس پانی کو نہ پی سکے، کئی بار کاسا پر کاسا آیا لیکن مسلم نے احساس کر لیا کہ میرا پانی اور دانہ دنیا سے ختم ہو چکا ہے۔ حسین شہید ہوئے ہیں پیاسے، مسلم سفیر تھے حسین کے، ان کی شہادت بھی پیاس کی حالت میں ہوئی ہے۔ آخر میں جلان آتا ہے اور تلوار کو جب چلایا مسلم کا سر تن سے جدا ہوا، مسلم کے لاشے کو دارالعمارہ کے چھت سے زمین پر گرا دیتے ہیں اور پیروں میں رسن باندھ کے بعد جناب حانی کے لاشے کو بھی لاتے ہیں اور دونوں لاشوں کے پیر میں رسن باندھنے کے بعد گھوڑوں میں باندھتے ہیں اور گلیوں میں لاشوں کی بے حرمتی ہوتی ہے۔ مسلم سے کہیں گے اے مسلم آپ کربلا کے پہلے شہید ہیں، اور خدا نے چاہا تھا اس کیفیت وہی تھی، حسین کا لاشا بھی کربلا میں پامال ہوا، مسلم کا لاشا بھی کوفے میں پامال ہوا۔ عزاداران حسین صرف ایک ہمیں یہاں پر مشابہت میں فرق نظر آتا ہے، مسلم کی یتیمہ رقیہ سے کہیں گے آپ کے بابا نے پانی مانگا اور دشمنوں نے پانی کا کیا کاسا کئی بار لا کے دیا، لیکن آئے سکینہ جو پوچھتی رہی اپنے گھوڑے سے کہ اے اسب با وفا بتاؤ میرے بابا کو آخری وقت میں پانی ملا یا نہ ملا۔ ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين سيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون۔ خداوند اس قلبہ قبول فرما، ہمارے گناہوں کو بخش دے، ہماری توفیقات میں اضافہ فرما، امام کے ظہور میں تاجل فرما۔ ربنا تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم۔ ماتنا حسین۔
راستے میں سن